Okay. Welcome to, I guess it's called Existence.
We love that.
We love it. You can tell already that I have planned nothing. And I think this is the podcast. This is going to be the name of the podcast.
I think it should be.
Existence with Evan Liao. You think that's a good one?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm here with Betsy. What's your last name?
My last name's Hafke. I'm so stoked to be here, by the way. I'm so glad you knew that. It sounds like you know me already. Yeah. I don't know.
You knew your name?
I knew my name.
You knew that's crazy. I've never heard your last name before.
Well,
isn't that wild?
Congratulations. You heard my last name. It's also Germanic and American. So
how do you say it?
In German, it's Hafke.
Hafke.
But in American English, it's Hafke. So
Hafke. How do you say it?
Hafke.
Hafke.
Yeah.
So are you one of those people that, like myself, who has a last name that's pronounced a certain way, but everybody pronounces it a different way, and then you just go along with that different way to make it easier for everybody else and yourself?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've heard so many fun pronunciations of my last name. It's riveting. It keeps me on my toes, you know?
Yeah. What have you heard?
I think the craziest one I've heard is half a key, and I was in fourth grade, and I won a running trophy thing, and this teacher was like, "Yeah, Betsy, half a K," and I'm like, "Okay, I guess that's my cue." I'm not quite sure.
That's funny. Totally, yeah. So, yeah, mine's Liel. It's pronounced Liel, and everyone says Leo, and
Leo.
I just say Leo.
Well, which one do you like more? I'm curious.
Honestly, honestly, it's the same to me. And at this point, it's like my name's Leo. I don't know. It's Leo. Leo's what I say, but not even all the time. Most of the time, I say Leo. To be honest, it's really 50-50 every time it comes out of my mouth.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. If you're talking to someone, you're like, so what's the odds they're going to get it right versus get it wrong, you know?
Usually never. But anyways, enough about our last names. So this is my experiment into podcasting.
Yeah.
Which is exciting. I've always wanted to do this, and glad to have the best first guest of the podcast. You're the best guest I've ever had on this podcast.
It's an honor to be here. First guest, best guest,
First best.
First best.
Cool. Yeah, so I guess with this podcast, I really kind of want to explore my own thoughts and ideas about existence and the world, and just try to get as many people excited into conversation as much as I am, because it's all I want to do is talk to people. And when I think about the direction my life is going, I just want to talk to more people. And I'm excited that you're one of those people in my life to talk to. So thank you for that.
Of course, yeah. I think, connecting with people about life, everyone goes through it. Everyone has different cards, but, what a way to kind of seek connection with the people around you. So
totally. Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's a good excuse. It's just a good excuse. Hey, do you want to talk on my podcast? So, yeah, awesome. Cool. Go straight into it.
Well, I will say, I want to know what your interest is in pursuing this topic.
Whoa, wait a second. I have to ask the first question on the podcast.
Oh, is that how this works?
That's how this works.
Okay.
Whoa, you trying to be the host?
I'm doing a podcast. No, I'm doing a podcast. I'm just an avid...
Okay. As an experienced podcast host? No. Betsy, how are you today?
How am I doing?
Yeah, how you doing today?
Chilling with my dude,
Cool.
Recording a podcast. Cool Portland skyline, nighttime.
Cool, yeah.
And summertime feels.
Cool.
It's always a good time.
We just gotta we gotta be chill. We just gotta be doing this. All right. Question.
Well, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I just went to the Bluffs with Bap and Alex and Gab and Carter. That was
cool.
That was awesome. Is there room in life for regret?
Is there room for... wow, is there room for regret? That's a great question. I don't know, because you go through life, you go through the motions, you do the things, right? You learn the lessons accordingly. I think you can definitely regret. Is there room for it? I don't know. I feel like life moves so fast. It's always the next thing, right? Like, we're always so ready to kind of attack that next adventure, like pursue the next chapter. But I think if we take the time to be in the present, I think you can have a moment of reflection. But, if you dwell too hard into it, then you're kind of missing the environment around you. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that there comes a point where you realize that, I don't know, I think you wake up to regret. I think you can get caught up in regret. And it doesn't mean you live a perfect life, but it means you change your perspective on what regret is. And you don't always have to live a life that sees some shortcoming as something to be regretted. And you can change the mindset you have on that certain instance. And it really reframes that sort of conception of what regret is. And changing your perspective on that leads you to live a life without it. And 'cause it's not regret anymore. It's just learning. It's all a learning experience.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, If you're able to reframe it from like, oh, I wish I did this, to, oh, actually, I'm going to do all these other little tasks or steps in order to get to that end goal that I want, so I don't have that regret, There are like moments of opportunity. There's moments of like, oh, like I'm going to seize the day, carpe diem.
Totally.
Yeah.
And in what sense do you find that regret has helped you at all, if at all?
Yeah, I think it has helped in the sense of like, oh, I want to be doing all the things and living all the lives, and kind of understanding like regretting that one time I didn't do that one thing. Yeah. I think has forced me to, reprioritize my time. And so now I'm like, okay, if I can fit, this activity, that activity, this way of connection, whatever, in a more strategic way. Yeah. I think that's where I've had a lot of learning and growth from that. But also, too, I think even like when we connect with people and like understanding that people communicate differently, people receive things differently, and like you can regret how you may have gone about a certain way of trying to reach someone, but with that you just learn not only yourself but the other people in your life better too. So I think with that, I think human connection and like trying to do all the things, I think that's where I've learned the most in terms of once regretting something, realizing, oh, I could be a better version of myself for the people in my life and connect to people better because of it. Yeah.
Take it as a learning experience. Yeah. Do you think there are different types of regrets? Or is regret one sort of concept?
It's funny, like initially, like off the bat when you asked that, because I haven't thought about this in a minute, but I think so, because I think there's long-term goals that we have in life and short-term goals as well too. It's like, like this entire week I've been trying to go swimming. Yeah. It took me 4 days to get there, but we got there, and I had a great group of friends to swim with. It was awesome. But then, long-term, like, oh, like I want to live in this place or I want to pursue this passion project, and like regretting if, that doesn't happen. Like you'll be like, oh, I should have done that opportunity, whatever it was. Yeah. But what do you think, though? I'm curious to know.
Regret, I mean, I'm comparing it to the concept of love. Like, there's different types of love, people say. And relating it to that sort of idea, I don't know if there are different types of regret. I think regret is this is me fleshing out my thoughts on this in the moment, but I think there might be one concept of regret, and I mean, I'm in my head. I'm trying to define what regret is. Regret being something that you wish you could have not done. Would you agree with that definition?
I think it can be that, like, what you wish you hadn't done, but also it could be the thing that, like,
what you wish you
did do too.
Yes.
I think it's double-sided.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're onto something in the sense of, okay, like, there might be one type of regret because of the overarching theme of, like, oh, like, I wish this or, like, did or did not happen.
Yeah.
But I think there's different levels of regret, I guess.
Levels of regret, for sure. I would definitely, I think that's a good point. Maybe not a different type, but a different level.
Yeah.
Would you be able to expand on that a bit?
Yeah. I think that we think about, like, our childhood, right? Yeah. And, like, the ways that we might have impacted the people in our lives based on our decision making, and, like, the ways that we communicated to people, whatever it is. You know, we don't always get it right. We went off of based on what we knew. And, you know, looking back now, there are people out there maybe that are like, oh, like, I wish I didn't communicate that way or treated someone like that when I was younger. I wish I knew better. I regret that action, that way of speaking. I think that's a high level sort of regret. I think that's a really, like, it lasts a long time, and you think about it for a long time, and it's a long-term impact. I think those are, like, the higher tiers. And then you could always think about, like, oh, like, I regret not getting Chipotle. Can't believe I'm eating my egg sandwich. Yeah. Can't believe I'm eating this egg sandwich. Like, I could have been at Chipotle. Yeah. I think that's a very low tier, like, minimal, like, you can fix that tomorrow. Maybe that's the root of it. It's
but I really want Chipotle.
You're like, that burrito bowl. Boo, boo, boo. Shout out.
Existence by Evan Lales, sponsored by Chipotle. I wish. That'd be Chipotle, if you're hearing this, which you are absolutely not. There's no one listening to this. No, totally. I am in agreement with you. I would say there are low-level regrets and high-level regrets. Are you someone who fears to be on their deathbed if you get the opportunity to know when you're going to die and you're on your deathbed? Are you someone who is fearful that you're going to look back on your life and regret?
Well, first of all, shout out to Chipotle. There are people listening. Hopefully they play this in a Chipotle. That would be extraordinary.
There's some guy, like, working in the back with, like, his AirPods in. Listen to my
Existence,
man. He's like, so you guys haven't talked about existence yet. But that's the thing. Everything about existence is encompassed by existence. The act of being is existing.
With a side of guac, you know.
With the side of guac. Eating Chipotle is existing. That's it, baby.
Thriving, some would say.
Some would say thriving.
Yeah. I know many that would say that's thriving. But no, I would say, circling back, am I someone on my deathbed, you know, regretting all the things that maybe I did or didn't do? Personally, probably.
You think you would be a person who regrets?
Maybe not regrets, just kind of wishing I did more. I've kind of been notorious for being hard on myself of trying to do all the things.
You and I are in the same boat. We just had this conversation.
Yeah. And
off air.
Off the record.
Off the record?
Y'all didn't even hear about it. But, yeah, it's hard because, you know, I think with technology, social media, globalization, like, there are so many different opportunities that we can pursue that are at our fingertips given certain privileges and access and, you know, other things. And so it's really hard to kind of, like, you know, hyper-focus on, like, all the things you want to do because we have more options than we ever had before. Like, how do we sit down? You're like, okay, in this life, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z when you can also do A, B, C, D, whatever, right? So I think that's a really, wild concept. I think that's something I would like to work on, though. I don't want to live a life or be on my deathbed being like, oh, I wish I did, or I regret not doing, because I want to feel satisfied. I want to feel content. But how about you?
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to the off-air conversation we had about us being extremely hard on ourselves, and the fact that you and I do a lot of things, and seemingly in our own heads we're not doing much at all. And it's
literally
it's this weird internal struggle that objectively, like, you look objectively at yourself and you're like, I've done so much. You've done an incredible amount of things, and then when you go to give yourself any credit for it, you think, well, you've barely done anything, actually.
You're like, I'll pass on that, actually. Just the burrito, you know?
And it's difficult. It's difficult to live that way, but you become an extremely productive person because you constantly think you're not doing anything and you need to do more. Without giving yourself the proper credit, however, it becomes harmful to yourself in the fact that you just see yourself as more of a, I'm not going to say the word failure, because I don't personally view myself as a failure, and I don't know how you would react to that. But someone who isn't living up to their full potential. And I don't know what full potential means, and what the concept of perfection it means. It's not even the concept of perfection. I think it's just the concept of constantly doing more, and the striving to be better, and the striving to be reaching some point that is elusive, because I don't know how, I can't do everything. You can't do everything, but you can still do more than you're doing. Like, it seems like there's can always be more. I know I can't. Like, you like justify it. You're like, I know I can't do everything, but I could do more. I can do more, and you're just stuck in that loop. But the question of regret, I even though I do live with that mindset, and something that I'm obviously trying to work on and get better at, it is something that I am going to look back on, and I look back on now when in moments of reflection and opportunities for me to contemplate what I have done, and I know I'm doing the best I can, and I know if I was on my deathbed tomorrow, I would look back on my life and not regret it, and that is a very privileged position to be in, but it's not without the work and the hard, arduous more work of every day, waking up and doing something to better yourself. But that's my constant battle, is trying to become better. And I don't like. What would you say to that sort of idea of betterment?
For the say, what a great pursuit! Honestly, the most commendable pursuit, to be the best version of ourselves, to do the things that we want to do, care about the people we want to care about, and be present in this life. Like,
well, that's a good point. It's not just about you. It's not just about me. It's about others. It's about working on yourself, because you know a better you is going to be better for other people.
Yeah, I think that's it's funny, because I think it's part of it, as a perfectionist myself. It's the pursuit that, there's never actually a finish line, and it's so easy to forget that when you're in the mindset of like, oh, like, I could surf, I could skate, I can hike, and go out all in one weekend.
And you do.
Oh, I did once. I was like, what is sleep? The work week was long. Yeah. It was so long, but, it's pretty extraordinary to try to, do all the things and kind of reach that point of contentment. I think something that, sparked in my mind was just kind of being content with ourselves and like what we do in this life and being at peace with it in the first place.
For sure.
Like, I think that's the biggest thing that will be critical for us to be successful in life, like, because as soon as we stop worrying about every single thing we could be doing and we're just in the moment, like, that's glorious. That's what life's really about. And
there's nothing else.
There's nothing else. And I think about like when those moments that I'm present like that and I'm just in the environment that I'm in, like usually it's surfing that probably does it for me most. Like, I surf Indian Beach on the Oregon coast here.
Yeah, I heard you got pitted last weekend.
My friends and I caught some waves. We're not too sad about it. Follow up some great hot dogs. Fire. But no, it's, you surf and you get out to the lineup and the Oregon coast, like, it's jaw-dropping. It's gorgeous. And you're just in the scenic environment with people that you care about so, like the people I care about so much, and we're just like sitting out there waiting for waves to come in, and we're just like, I'm just thinking to myself, this is just my Sunday.
No, how
incredible. Like, I mean, that comes from a place of privilege, absolutely, and the hard work, as we all do. All humans do it. But like those moments where you just pause, no matter where you are, you can be anywhere in this world, and you just have that moment and you're like, this is where I am right now. It's pretty humbling, and like, it takes my breath away every time.
For sure.
I think that's something that I want to continue to strive for in this life. In addition to just being the most present, aware, good listener kind of friend, sibling.
Which you are.
Thank you. Family member, partner. I think, I don't know. It's funny. Like, I think about my life, and I think the one thing I will never regret and that I've always had confidence in is the experiences I have with people and the relationships I build with people. Because I think, like, for me, people first, everything else is secondary. Like, my hobbies, like, surfing's great, skateboarding's great, hiking, whatever. Those are all, it's cool shit, whatever. But life has a lot more excitement, purpose, and meaning and love with people surrounding it that you want to be around. And so, I'm always people first. That's what I'll never regret. So.
For sure. No, I'm right there with you. Something that I have dedicated a considerable amount of thought to is what you fall back on, and when you get into tough spots in life. And it's, for me, 3 main points, and one of them being the community you have and the relationships that are in your life that allow you to get out of situations that you wouldn't be able to get out of otherwise without the help of others. And you realize how important having a solid foundation of community and friends and family is in somebody's path. Because without that, you are alone. At least it can seem like you're alone. And being alone in a dark place only leads can lead to very dark outcomes. And coming at it with that, it's it forces me to think about building more relationships and building my community wider and more reaching than it is already. And because there's never, but at the same time, it's hard to balance these relationships. It's not easy to keep up with everybody that you've had a connection with, and it's not that they mean anything less. It's that you have to prioritize other things as well. And this is where the concept of balance is, and something that is very important to contemplate daily, is how much balance you have. So I propose the question to you: how, in what sense are you thinking about balance, and how has balance played a role in your thinking day to day?
Well, before I forget to mention this, you are beloved by so many. One of the greatest listeners I've ever met. Great podcast host already. First episode in, absolutely fire.
Hey,
So
fire. Fires, Chipotle's hot sauce. I don't know. It's also
hot sauce. No, but you are incredibly beloved. I can tell.
Thank you, Betsy.
Like in your life, that's something that's evident. But no, the concept of balance. It's funny because as passionate as I am about board sports, life balance so hard. Like I live for the extremities, and sometimes, which I'm not proud of, I fall into them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even realize I'm in them until I'm in them. But I strive for balance. I work towards it.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny too with as we get older, as our relationships change, as our environment changes around us, you kind of get certain skill sets that make that easier. So I think about my adolescence, high school, whatever. I was really guarded, really closed off. I only had like a few good homies, if that. So when I was leaving that chapter of my life, it wasn't that hard to balance relationships because it was like my main two homies, and then everyone else. I was like, I guess it was good knowing you. Good luck in life, you know, like. But as I got to college and pursued my 4 years there and was lucky enough to study overseas, work in different places to where I am now, I think about balancing all of that. It's hard. It's hard to show up for everyone, whether it's phone calls. I was just writing a letter to a friend of mine. She and I are pen pals. We'll send mail to each other once every couple months with all the life updates.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing I've learned in all of that is that if there's true love there and like genuine care and concern, you'll find your methods of communication that works, like with whoever friend you're talking to. Like I think about, I have friends I will call like once a month that like are like my best friends, and we'll talk for 3 hours on the phone. And I have other friends where like we'll go like
you're writing a 60-page
60-page letters.
Keeping it old school.
Yeah. Or I will text every now and again. But if the love is there, you know, I think the friendship will never die. I think the energy always seems to pick up right where you left off. I will say too,
but that takes effort.
It does.
That takes effort.
Yeah,
it's not just the love can be there, but it doesn't mean that it can't be subject to change. So it takes the effort. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
No, that's a great point too. I think people are very caught up in life. I think a lot of shit happens.
Yeah.
People get busy, and it takes reaching out, you know. And I'm someone that's the initiator, I think, in most of my life, like in most of my friendships, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Like I love checking in on my people. Like I love my people really hard. That's something.
And they love you back.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I am
just
very
a big love fest here today.
Oh, all the love.
All day.
But that's something I take a lot of pride in. I take very seriously is showing up. Like It doesn't matter how you show up, as long as you show up in the ways that friend usually needs it. Like I have friends who are not super lovey-dovey or like sappy or emotional or like long phone calls. Like that's just not how they operate. But you know, it's finding, oh, you saw this really funny card at the store. You write them a funny note in the card. You send like a sticker or some shit. Yeah. You send it their way. And it's like, hey, I'm thinking of you. How the fuck are you? You know? Yeah. Like it's just thinking
it's
of
small things.
It's small things.
So just a text that says, hey, thinking about you.
Yeah.
Like, love you. Hope you're having a good day.
Yeah.
Nothing big. I relate this back to the concept of technology and how easy it is to communicate now. To shift gears a little bit here. And I came to a realization that we have technology that is incredibly simple and easy and amazing that we can talk to anybody at any point in the world, anywhere. It's so crazy how we have a phone and we could just send a text to anyone in the world and we can talk to them.
It's pretty rad.
It's never before, and it's such a small period of human history where this capability has been present and possible, and we view it as inconsequential on a day-to-day basis, as just something that is always been there, and it has not always been there.
Yeah.
And when you consider that in relation to keeping relationships, 200 years ago, they would leave somebody, leave a town, leave a friendship, leave any sort of relationship, and have no way of communicating with them except by letter. And even that is post off. Like, who's sending letters? That's not like
that's cool, bruh.
But like how crazy that you can't see them, you can't talk to them, and we have this capability, and from my eyes, it's something that I have to take advantage of. Like, I have to get on my phone and as a tool to communicate with the people that I care most deeply about in my life. I don't know how you view technology in that sense, so I'm posing the question to you. How do you view technology in terms of our ability to enhance our relationships? Yeah,
I honestly, given the life chapters I've had in different places versus how the world used to be 200 plus years ago, I think a lot less people were leaving their towns. I mean, people were leaving, but a lot more people were staying where they were, so those goodbyes weren't as frequent. But I can't help but recognize how honestly fucking lucky we are to be in this time of age. Because
no cursing on the podcast. There's children listening.
Why did you tell me that 5 swear words ago, man?
I don't know. I think this might be the first one.
Well, I will clean my mouth out. I will get some soap.
With soap.
Are we the same person or what?
Yes, we are. We've established this. Betsy and I are literally the same person.
Gotta get that bread and that protein powder. But no, but when it comes to technology, as someone who really does struggle with a goodbye, love hard, emotional, whatever you want to call it.
You're so quick to disregard that.
I'm it's stupid, but it's fine. It's stupid.
It's not. It's funny to see because it's not. It's awesome. It's. Anyways, I'm getting derailed here. Continue.
I'm embracing it. I'm learning. But no, when it comes to technology, I think the biggest thing is that we are able to connect with more people now than ever before in all corners of the world and have the highest percentage now to maintain those relationships. Yes. So I think about my times in New Zealand and South America, and I'm I can WhatsApp any of those guys. Yeah. And my Portuguese is rather rusty, but I can figure it out and send them a message and they'll get back to me.
For sure. Isn't that amazing?
It's incredible. And because that way of connection is so much easier than it's ever been before, goodbyes, rationally speaking, aren't as hard. I think about my friendships and the people I've had to say bye to before I've had more knowledge about all these platforms, and they were gutting. I'd be crying my eyes out. My friends are like, "Can you not?" And I'm like, "I'm just emotional." Yeah. But I don't know. It's cool that wherever you end up in your next few months or year from now, or myself included, I know I can message you anytime now. It's not like this. I'll see you in 100 years.
Literally anytime, at all, in the middle of the night.
Anytime.
Doesn't matter. Hit me up.
Call me, beat me if you want to reach me.
Exactly. Is that Kim Possible?
We love Kim Possible here.
Kim Possible here. Kim Possible. Slays
for days. Slays for days. We love her.
Slays boot the house down.
but how do you feel? What's so, like, I guess, like, I
I'm
know.
asking the questions, Betsy.
Oh, is that how that works? Sponsored by Kim Possible and Chipotle.
We thought we established that.
Am I hosting a podcast now? It's called Existence.
With Betsy. I'm sorry, how do you pronounce your last name?
Halfkey. And Evan Leal.
Existence with Betsy Halfkey.
You're getting there.
Halfkey.
This is where we cut it, you know, we cut the bits and pieces to get people excited.
Yes. There's so many questions. What is consciousness?
Oh, wow. What is consciousness? I'm getting all the heavy hitters. First episode. What, you should ask me these same questions again on the 100th episode.
Yeah, so we've established that Betsy Halfkey.
Halfkey. You were so close.
I've known you for this long now. And
you can't even say my name, bro. Evan Leal, I get it.
Yeah. Did you know my last name?
I, like, kind of knew your name, last name, and
But you
then,
didn't really.
I mean, I know Spanish, so I'm not,
yeah. There you go. What does it mean?
I mean, I forgot like what that word means, but like I know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, loyal.
Oh,
Gemini.
I should have known. I bet. Wait, how fitting for you.
Yeah, no.
You're
anyway.
a loyal guy. Okay, this is your podcast. I'll stop talking.
Answer the question.
What was the
Answer it.
Answer right now. What was the question?
What is consciousness?
What is consciousness? Well, it's funny. So this might be a tangent or irrelevant. I don't know. It's just the first thing I think of. I think of flow state.
Flow state.
Are you familiar with flow state?
I am, yes.
I love flow state. It's almost, you're just transcending in this other world. I can't even explain it where it sounds real, but I'm going to try anyway. I experience this on board sports, like on a board mainly. Like if I'm skating, usually, like it's almost like nothing else matters, you know. I'm so present in what I'm doing. Like my brain is just turned off. I am just flowing. Like I'm coexisting with the people, the things around me, but yes. It's almost like as if I'm tripping, and I've never tripped. So it's what it seems like. That's my best guess.
You've tripped plenty physically, not psychedelically.
No, I've actually tripped psychedelically, but I have not tripped in real life.
Actually, I've actually never tripped in real life. I've only tripped psychedelically.
That's how I prefer it, you know?
That's funny.
Gotta tell the ladies like that, you know? They can't see me tripping.
Yes. Oh, we've also established that I am Betsy's husband, but she has many husbands. And wives.
And wives. You got to keep the roster filling.
Yes. No, I know. You just have to tell them.
Oh, right. Communication. Whew, that's a hard one.
Yeah. Totally. And in terms of flow state, how would you describe? What would a definition you would be set? What's a definition you would give to flow state? If you could give it as succinctly as possible.
I mean, if I had to put it into like 6 words or something, I mean, I'm not going to do it in 6, by the way, just so you know.
Look, you put that camera in.
I don't know why it sounded cool. I was like, yeah, that could be it, man.
Usually people are like 1 word.
Yeah.
Or 2.
3 at the most. 6 is weird, man.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
No, but I think of flow state, and I just think of like this, like dopamine.
6 words, Betsy.
Oh, okay. Euphoric, dopamine, present, relaxed, at ease. Some of those are synonyms. It is what it is. And surreal.
Yes. Present. I grasp onto the word present. What does being present mean to you?
Oh, nothing else matters. Literally, like, it's so funny.
Why does nothing else matter? Sorry for
because you never know. Nothing else matters because you don't know what's next. There's no reason to focus on what's next. Like, you are so inundated in, like, what's going on around you. And you're like, this is where I am at in life right now. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm looking at. Mm-hmm. This is who I'm with. Mm-hmm. And it's an escape almost from all these complex, convoluted, layered things going on, you know, in life. That's just how it goes. But like that, it almost like, it's like you order a hamburger and you get a side of fries. the hamburger is being present. You're just in it, you know. Thousand Island dressing.
We keep relating it to
You know, I love food so much. You know, and like, oh, those onions are great. So spicy. Like, really makes me like awake and aware.
Mm-hmm.
The fries are like for later, you know? You're not thinking about it. It's just not.
You don't eat the entire meal all at once.
You don't eat it all at once. Sometimes you bring the fries home.
Speak for yourself on that one. This analogy is one I cannot relate to. But
no.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's kind of like this, oh, yeah, like I went on a hike after Pride weekend, which was fun. And we love Pride. But I went hiking. It was like an 8-mile hike, and it was 10 waterfalls on the entire hike. I just went by myself. I wanted to get out of the city. I wanted to get away from people. I just wanted to, like, you know, kick it. And so I drive myself, whatever, go on this hike. I don't think about anything on this hike for the entire hike. I'm like, who am I?
Would you say you were in a flow state?
Absolutely. I don't know if I've ever had such a flow state on a hike before.
Really?
It was the first time because I was so focused, like, on the waterfalls that I was looking at. There were 10 waterfalls within these 8 miles.
For those who don't know, we live in Oregon. And it's incredible here.
Nature's Wonderland.
Yes.
Here's a little drop for Travel Oregon, sponsored by Travel Oregon.
By Travel Oregon.
Yes.
We live in Portland, Oregon, and there's waterfalls everywhere.
Everywhere.
Literally everywhere. It's crazy.
You can't avoid them. You know.
Yeah, you couldn't even try.
You could if you tried. But
continue, sorry.
No, you're chilling. But yeah, it was surreal. I was like focused solely on the waterfalls and the pictures I was taking of the waterfalls. No one, no other person, nothing from work, no other hobby or life thing came up in that entire hike except for going on this hike and taking pictures and swimming. And I was like shook, dude. Like I was like, holy shit! Like, oh, sorry for swearing, children. You have to
apologize to the children.
Sponsored by children.
Children.
But no, it was wild. It was so humbling, being able to get lost in that moment and forgetting about everything else.
Yes. And that's amazing. That's incredible. How has your experience with nature helped you with that sort of mindset and living presently? Because you're someone who goes outdoors. You're someone who loves the outdoors. I mean, I find myself included in that category. And so for you, how has being outside in nature been able to help you get into that state or get into something analogous to it?
Yeah. I
mean, you mentioned surfing and.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'd be curious to know your experience too, but I'll dive in first. When I think of nature, it's one of those things where you're in it and you're almost forced to think about everything that's going on around you in that moment, in that environment, because if you are thinking about something else and you're not present in it, something can actually happen to you. Mm-hmm. If you're surfing and you're trying to get out to the lineup and you're thinking about that assignment that you didn't do or that person that like caused this like drama in your life, you're going to get stuck in the fucking...
No, you don't think about it. I think that's the problem. I think that's a very astute point, is that you're forced not to. You're literally forced not to think about it. You can't, because you have such a arduous direction. Like you have to do something right now, here in the moment. You have to get past the break. Yeah. There's no other way to think. There's no other way to. There's nothing else to think about but getting to one direction or getting to one goal. Otherwise,
you'll be thrown around as if you're in a washer.
Yeah, no, you will. And if you're thinking about the homework you didn't do or the person you didn't call back or the email you didn't send, evolutionarily, that's an interesting... it's an interesting take to have, because it seems as if we're evolved to forget, like something that... We are evolved to focus, become extremely focused on facet and ignore everything else because this one goal we have is what is meant for our survival, in a way. And I find that with myself in like working out at the gym, and I see if you're lifting, like when you're lifting something heavy, there's nothing else to think about. You're thinking about lifting the weight, and there's nothing.
Could you imagine? You're like, oh, that book I was supposed to read drops weight.
You're literally not thinking of anything else. You're just like, trying to push up however many pounds of weight that is forced upon your body, and there's nothing like I'm not thinking about.
Oh, why didn't you text me back?
I'm not thinking about it. That the chapter I read in the book that morning. Yeah. You're just thinking about getting the weight off of you because that's what matters right now in the moment.
You're like, if this doesn't come off me like this is gonna go so bad.
It's gonna go terribly wrong.
But yeah, you're onto something though. It's for your own survival. That's how you'll get out of it. But I also think too, and I'd be curious to see like what you think. I think about like the bigger picture of life, and I feel like as though when we are in cities and we are in like these bustling environments where everything is go, 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 I think we forget how big this world is and how much it offers and how untapped and untouched it is.
Oh my God. You see it here, and it becomes extremely salient when you're just in the middle of nature. And, well, this poses a different question, but I guess we'll use the normal concept of nature and wilderness and open, untouched by human hands or however you would like to describe it. But when you're in that environment, you realize how powerful the world is and how so much of this earth has been untouched and how much of it is just here without our own hands being involved, human hands being involved. And it's incredible to see. But I also think that nature isn't something I have been thinking about has been nature is it's not separate from us. Nature is humanity and all humanity's creations. We are part of nature. There's nothing separate from us building a city than a beaver building a dam. It's created by hands of some sort of consciousness. By the hands of some sort of consciousness. Ours is just a specific type of consciousness that is able to create cities and erect buildings and build airplanes and fly through the sky and go up to space. But it doesn't make it separate from the ants crawling around on the ground building their anthill. It's just a different type of animal. It's a different type of creature. And I want to know your opinion on how you view humans versus how you view other creatures of the earth, and what perspective do you take, and do you see us as separate or do you see us as the same?
Yeah, no, that's a great point you made too. I think
give me that validation.
I'm all for it.
Podcast host validation.
No, you are the wise guy. I keep you around for a reason. No, but I think we're all building communities and civilizations in just different ways. I think you're onto something with like beavers building a dam, us building skyscrapers. Like we're all doing the same thing. We're trying to create this, environment where like we can function at our best selves and we can be the healthiest, happiest, or whatever, most successful, whatever that arbitrarily means to whoever.
Hottest in the land.
Hottest in the land. Hot girl summer.
Hot girl summer.
You know what I'm saying?
Hot girl summer.
Yeah.
Hot boys for Bernie. I forgot I said that in the house. We also live in a commune.
Oh, yes.
You didn't mention that. Anyways, continue. Sorry. Continue your thought.
We'll go back to the commune. But yeah, I think we're always seeking, like, no matter if we're beavers, humans, I think all species, I think we're all coexisting.
Yeah.
And I think we're all using the resources that we each have accessible to us to be innovators, to create better ways of doing things. And I think that looks very different for each species. And, I think there is a dependence on each other when it comes to resources. Like, I think about, like, the food chain, like how certain animals consume others, and, like, all those sort of correlations, ecosystems, all the scientific terms correlated to that. Like, we're all coexisting. We all depend on each other for resources and for, being better. But I think circling back to when it comes to nature, like, you're right. We're in this. We're all in nature right now. Yeah. I think it's easier to be, or I think nature really grounds people. I think that's the biggest takeaway I have, no matter if it's mountain, sea, anything in between. I think realizing how big this world is and how many, organisms, species, whatever you want to call us, are trying to innovate and do all these things, realizing the scope of how big this all is really humbling. Yeah. And you're like, oh, I am just an ant, but it's fine. Yeah.
Especially in comparison to the universe and how absolutely insane everything is. I think there's this concept of us being separate, and we're not. There's nature and then there's humanity. But there is nothing different about humanity. We are part of nature. Switching topics here, how do you like living in a community house?
Good question. Shout out to my 15 roommates. We are not sponsoring Open Door here.
They're gonna up our rent. We love Open Door.
No, I can't even say it.
We love our leasing agency, Open Door.
Closing Door.
Closing Door. I haven't heard that.
I just came up with that. Thank you. Marketing things.
No. So I guess to preface this, we live in a community. We've really dived into the Portland lifestyle here. We're living in a commune. Commune has a bad rap, but it's a really nice house, and everyone here is really cool. And it's not a cult, I promise.
That's what people in cults say.
Do you find that every single person I've ever talked to that's like, oh, you live in a cult? That's like, it's not at all.
I mean, it's so funny. Like, I had a friend being like, "Ooh, you sure about that?" Before I moved in, and I'm like, "Oh, why not?" When in Rome?
No, literally, that's exactly what I thought too.
They're like, "Good luck out there," and I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. Why not?"
And how long have you been living here?
Over a year now.
And how have you found living in this community? How have you found it? What benefits and cons have you derived?
Yeah. So I moved to Portland in late May of 2021, and I decided to move into this wild but fun house. And let me tell you, it is something where I've learned so much about myself, and I've learned how to be a better friend and person in other people's lives, both in this house and other relationships I have outside of this house, based on the way I've seen my relationships evolved here. Yeah. So I've never opened up to a group of people so quickly in my life. I'm usually really guarded. I was joking with a housemate of ours today. We were chatting, and
shall not be named.
I don't know. I guess not. I don't know if that's the vibe. I feel like when we watch this, like 20 years from, or listen to this 20 years from now, it'd be kind of weird.
20 years from now, when I'm doing this for 20 years.
You better be Howard Stern. Call me daddy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The next call me daddy.
Next call me daddy. Call me Evan. Anyway.
Just call me.
Call me by my name. Yeah. I am spinning. Anyway. No, I was talking to a housemate about this, and she's like, Betsy? Guarded? I don't know her. I was like, I don't know. I think.
No, seriously, though.
Yeah.
I would not say you're a guarded person at all.
I know.
You're very open. I think that's something you put on yourself. But I really, really genuinely think you're a very open and vulnerable person, which is it's amazing to see. Because, when you see that in somebody else, it allows you to be more open and vulnerable and genuine with other people.
Well, it's funny. So, like, thinking about my time here and thinking about my other life chapters, like I said, from when I was young all the way to probably 24, 23, 24, incredibly guarded, didn't really tell people that much, was able to facilitate conversations where I would ask a lot of the questions, and kind of just talk about surface level things, generic things that didn't require vulnerability or depth or fear. But I had an awakening, especially since being here, where, and I think about my other friendships that already had this depth before moving here, but then in addition, obviously meeting people here, that with vulnerability and being open to what could happen when I connect with these people and I tell people my story, whatever, and they do the same, like how enriching and how beautiful those friendships become, where you feel emotionally safe with people around you, and like they want to support you for the sake of supporting you, not because of what they might get from it. And just something that has a lot of love, depth, and care, and I'm so grateful for it. I have a lot of gratitude. Yeah, I mean, there's so much more I could say. I don't want to keep rambling.
The dishes.
Dishes. Dishes.
The community dishes.
The community dishes. But you can really grow here if you allow yourself to be open enough to receive, feedback about how you go about things in life. You can really open your eyes.
Yeah, and I'm in a complete agreement. I think something that I find very admirable about everyone who lives here is that they were open to this experience in the first place. That it's this weird thing to do. I don't know anybody here that's been in a Carter. Carter,
yeah, I think her and Bab had a community. Oh, and then Pratish was at the village.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess I lived in a hostel too. But but being open to like living in a place, like it's different. It's different to be living in your room and like a house with 16 other people that you see every day. But it is awesome. I mean, for somebody who, it's definitely not right for everybody, I would say, for sure. But I think it's really, really awesome that this is something that continues to go on, because this is not something new. Like, humans have lived in communities and groups for, honestly, it's more of an aberration that they, or it's different that we live in our own single secluded apartment on our own. That's like a modern invention. That's a modern concept. When you think of humanity on the larger scale and how we used to live in groups. So this is really just coming back to more like our roots in our community sense. What's that? How's
your experience been?
It's been great. I definitely agree with you. If you're open to learning, if you're open to be to grow, then you can definitely grow a lot here and learn a lot about yourself and a lot about communicating with others and learning to navigate the landscape of a community like this with a plethora of different people and different social environments and different personalities, which is not an easy thing to navigate, especially when you're someone who lives with them. But I don't want this podcast to go on forever, and we're almost at an hour here.
Wow. An hour in the first episode.
An hour in the first episode, so I want to close it here. People don't want to hear me talk for.
That's not true.
Hours.
That's why they're gonna keep listening.
That's why they're
just wait, bud. Just wait.
Yeah. Also,
Future's so bright.
Hungry.
Oh, you hungry? We can go to Plaid after this. Sponsored by Plaid Pantry.
I went to Trader Joe's. Shout out to Trader Joe's. I am sponsored by Trader Joe's personally. Actually, I'm a Trader Joe's advocate because I used to work at Trader Joe's.
TJ's.
Yeah. No, but thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Betsy.
Of course.
We've learned a lot here, including your last name.
What is that again, though?
How do you?
It's Hafke, man. I thought we were married.
Hafke.
Hafke and Leal. I'll take your last name. It's fine.
Yeah.
I like your last name.
Hafke. Got it. Hafke. No.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's really. I'm just super stoked that you agreed to come on to this and talk openly into a mic where it's going to be recorded and shared with people. So I really hope you didn't say anything too bad.
I swore a lot, Mom. Be careful. You can put all the soap in my mouth anytime.
The children, Betsy.
The children. No, it's been an absolute pleasure to be here. Privilege. I am so.
Yeah, I really gave you some real.
Stoke was so high, bruh.
Bruh.
No, I really do appreciate you having me on here. I'm notorious for talking in circles, so.
No, you didn't at all.
I'm so excited about that. I was thinking about, I'm like, yeah, but so excited to be here. I cannot wait to see where this podcast goes.
Yeah, my arena tour. I'm going to start doing conferences. And,
yes.
Yeah,
you have the good coffee, right, at your conferences?
Yeah.
Good.
Starbucks.
You can't have the shit coffee. Oh, damn it.
We have children. We have children to worry about. Anyways, this is getting derailed really quick. Thank you, Betsy, Hafke, for coming on.
Yes!
We love to see it. We love to hear it. Because it's a podcast and nobody can see anything.
Nice. Nice touch.
Thank you. This is this is it. This is the ending outro to the first episode of Existence. This is going to get a lot more refined and a lot more sharpened. It's going to get a lot more sharp. It's going to get more. It's going to get sharpened from here on out. We're gonna work with this. This is just the first episode. Seeing how it goes. We're vibing. We're chilling.
Hell yeah.
Just talking. All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.